But on to what the big fight at hand, Canelo Berlanga. When we work our way up to the main event,
Okay.
And go ahead, Zittel. You can kick it off with where we going first on this card? Cool boy Steph.
Against Carlos Castro, right?
Yeah.
Remember Carlos Castro's last step-up fight? God, I'm trying to remember when. It was on a big undercard, one of these big undercards in Vegas. He wasn't really, it may have been Leo Santa Cruz, but
versus Brandon
maybe
Figueroa?
not. Or Brandon Figueroa, there you go. Yeah. And he wasn't able to do too much in this fight. So this is kind of his second bite at the apple on this level. And then Cool Boy Steph, we haven't seen Fulton since the Inoue knockout. He's fighting at 126 for the first time. And I expect Fulton to win a decision. I don't know if we're going to see him look spectacular more than a year off the ring, the kind of loss that Inoue was able to give him. First fight at 26, but it's good to have Fulton back. Before he got blown out by Inoue, he was flirting with top 10 pound for pound. And I think Inoue made him look a lot worse than the fighter he really is. We know that, again, Fulton was on the fringes of top 10, if not a top 20 kind of guy, had the WBC and the WBO. He's kind of been pissed off. He hasn't been able to get in the ring in as long as he has. But a lot of guys go through that in boxing now. So really don't know too much what to expect from Fulton. I just believe that he is better than he showed against Inoue in Japan. And he was on a really good run. I know some people thought Figueroa actually beat him, but he pulled that fight out to unify. He was pretty damn good up until that Inoue lost a year ago. So let's see what we get from him Saturday.
That fight reminded me of Gary Russell and Vasily Lomachenko way back in the day. Both guys were, young, right there in their vigor, approaching, obviously Loma had already had a belt. Gary had made some noise as well, and they were both at a point in their career where it just made sense for them to make the fight, and where we knew Gary to be very, very good. He looked to be ordinary against what we now know is a great fighter. So I feel like the same went for Cool Boy Steph, where he was showing himself to be very, very good. And he went up against what we didn't realize was as good or as great as he is and has become in Inoue. So yeah, more than anything, a lot of times a fighter just needs that opportunity to get back in the ring. I would always suggest a fighter after a loss, you should be looking at 3 to 5 months before you get back in the ring. You gotta, not only does the world remember what have you done for me lately, but you also remember it as well. So it's always good to get back in the ring, get that loss out of your face, get that new tally mark in the win column back in your face, and then move on from there. So yeah, I hate to see him out of the ring as long as he has. I'm sure business played a big role in that, but welcome back. And he ain't going up against a slouch. Carlos Castro has some size. He's got some athleticism, he's got some speed. I think it relies on his power, and he's lengthy too. So this is gonna be a really good challenge. And again, we get an opportunity to see like who Cool Boy Steph, truly is, because he hasn't, that we've seen, he hasn't gone up against somebody of this kind of stature. And again, moving up a weight class as well, presents some challenges for him too.
From a fan point of view, I hate to see when guys lose and they be out of ring for at least a year. Yeah. I feel like that's becoming a norm with a lot of fighters. Like you take the loss and then like it's a year layoff. Best thing you do after the loss is get back in the ring, get busy, baby. Mm-hmm. Let people realize why you're still talented. Things happen. Mm-hmm. You face greatness on that night, and you came up short. Learn from that moment and keep going. I'm happy to see Cool Boy Steph back in the ring, man. I think he's one of those guys. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, he took a loss. It happens, bro. I still think he's one of those guys that can do something special in the sport of boxing.
He is, man. I saw him in Philly when I went out there for Boo's fight, and a lot of energy. Good, just a good dude in general. A lot of energy, and he seemed like he really is ready to fight. So the other thing I said,
let's not forget how good his win over Angelo Leo has aged. That's what. Beat Angelo Leo to win his first title, then beat Figueroa to unify. That win has aged really well on his record. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what I was just about to say, and then we can move on. The separation there with boxing and football, where you lose one week and you come back the very next week. You got timeouts, you got substitutes, and all those other sorts of things. So I think it is realistic for a fighter not to fight the very next week, but to fight a couple of months past your loss, opposed to the year and a half that some of these guys have been doing. And we can't ignore the obvious that the business of boxing plays a major role in that. But I'm looking forward to seeing Cool Boy Steph back.